DDG episode 253. My name is Dave, and I'm joined by Michael.
Dave, how's it going? It feels like it's been a while. We're recording early, but also feels late. It's weird. We have a lot of video games to cover, though.
We did take all of the full last week off, though, so that's why it feels like it's been a while. So we did take a full.
We're recording on a Monday now, so that feels weird too because it's early. But here we are, ready to talk about games.
Yeah, so we had the not E3, I guess. I don't know what the hell to call it. Over the last couple of days. Today is Monday, June 9th, just for reference. So if anything weird happens between now and editing, I'm just letting everybody know because sometimes we get some other stuff that comes out. But we're going to recap the Xbox Game Showcase, the PlayStation State of Play, the Keighley Summer Game Fest show, and then just overall, like if there's any kind of like little tidbits and stuff that came out of like people being in San Francisco or Los Angeles for like Summer Game Fest and you know, like just basic stuff going on, but nothing. I don't really think anything crazy came out of those three events. So if you're listening to us for the first time for whatever reason, please consider subscribing. You can watch us live on YouTube, youtube.com/digitaldaysgaming or twitch.com/digitaldaysgaming. You can follow on Twitch for free. You can subscribe on YouTube for free. You can subscribe on Twitch. We are an affiliate, so you can pay to support us, or you can use your Amazon account and your Twitch account and get Prime Gaming, and you get a free gift to a streamer of your choice. And you can use that on us or on somebody. Please don't let it go to waste, and please check it because it doesn't auto-renew. Other than that, everything else is linked in the show notes. Discord, Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, all those accounts are linked in our Facebook are linked in our show notes, and you can join the community through there. My top recommendation is Discord. That is the main area that at least I personally and Michael interact with on a regular basis. I don't really like going on Facebook lately. It's just terrible. And Twitter/X, whatever the hell you want to call it, is fumbling around. So I think Blue Sky, but even Blue Sky, sometimes as I start to look through of people I want to follow or don't want to follow, it can kind of turn into this torpedo as well, because I'm like, I don't want this to be a mirror image of my Twitter, which is kind of what it feels like right now.
But it's like a neglected version of Twitter, because not everyone that juggles a Twitter and a Blue Sky are giving equal time to both platforms.
And the parts that, like the things that I care about, like, you know, like as I'm looking for sneaker deals, or as I'm looking for NFL or sporting news, like I can still get that from X. But and I see like Wario just copy and paste, so I'm just like, okay, what's the point? So if you are an avid Blue Sky user and you are listening to the show, please follow us, and I will do my diligence to follow you back to hopefully see some more interaction. And I like the freshness feeling of Blue Sky, but at the same time I find myself kind of going down that road of like, oh, this is the same path as my Twitter, and I don't know if I want that. So but nonetheless, we will see how that stuff goes. Social media is in such a weird spot in general. Just, you know, really weird. Maybe we should just fully focus on TikTok and just move on with our lives. Like, but that might be bad too, because like they could just turn it off with like a light switch when they get mad at it. Michael's just there, doesn't say a word. So, all right, that's enough. We're going to jump into the news. We got some actual somewhat cool gaming news to recap. So we're going to kind of go over this stuff, I believe, in the order of release.
Yes, in the order of at least the showcase. As usual with these recaps, I'm not pulling everything, so we're not getting a game-by-game recap. I'm just putting stuff that I feel is interesting to the audience that I know listens to the show, and what interests me and Dave.
However, so if we miss something that you are intrigued about or interested about or think that one of us should check out, please message us, tweet at us, #AskDigitalDays, and we will look. I missed something. Looking. Like Michael's like, hey, just jump around on here for me, and then he's like, oh, this is probably the only thing you're excited about. I'm like, I didn't know that was there. I missed it. So.
Yep, and that was the Summer Game Fest problem. I noticed. You're not the only one that had that problem. But we'll start with the state of play. So PlayStation. Some were disappointed, including me just a little bit, because they announced a state of play and not a PlayStation showcase. And as everyone knows, there is a difference. State of plays tend to be focused a little bit more small. And
so my immediate impression went down.
Yes, because it's first party isn't really going to be here. Right. This is partnerships when it comes to state of play.
Tom, who's a good friend of the shows, he was in Discord like, oh, are you going to record this week? I'm like, not for a state of play, probably. Like,
Yeah. Sometimes we do, but
Yeah.
the other times it's just I don't know. When this is showcase season and you throw a state of play, it immediately sets a tone.
Yeah.
So the way the schedule's worked out, we're recording on a Monday. So yeah, we got a state of play. So the first thing up is Astrobot is getting more free levels. So they continue to support Astrobot with more speed levels and other types of content coming this year. Dave still needs to play Astrobot, I think.
Correct.
But it's cool to see more content going to this. PlayStation seems to they're putting the steam and power behind Astrobot that Sackboy didn't get. I feel like they've learned a lot from what Sackboy could have been, and they are putting that fuel into Astrobot.
But don't you think at this point in time, like, so now we've seen the game come out, and I feel like it won a couple of Game of the Year awards, correct? I think it won
Game
of the Year from the Keeleys or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to word this correctly because, like, I don't want to be against free content for games. I think any kind of game, anytime somebody's adding additional stuff to a game, but I think that I heard him say something that they've added like 25 or 30 levels to this.
Something like that, or they will by the end of it.
Yeah. So wouldn't there be a point in time where you'd release like a $20 expansion, and like kind of like, you know, like I'm just saying, like in terms of. We'll get to this in a broader perspective. My impressions of, like, there's a first party problem at PlayStation right now. We've been talking about that for I think 12 or 18 months, and the opportunity for you to potentially have another box on the shelf next to it, Astrobot. I'm not even saying Astrobot 2, but Astrobot : something, to where they need more tangible things, like more physical announcements, like.
So as someone who's like playing this content, it's not big enough that if they bunched it all together, it would feel like a worthy expansion. They would probably have to put significantly more money into this stuff for it to be justified. And I imagine the context, they're putting out speed levels, stuff like that. They're short like levels like you can complete in a minute, and they're releasing like 5 to 10.
Shouldn't their energy be on another kind of more better Astrobot?
It probably is, but they are not. There's no full team working on these levels. This is something that you have some people as a side project.
I haven't
doing.
Played them, so I mean, I'm sure we're talking about 3-minute chunks, right?
Yes, we're talking about like speedrun levels that take like maybe 90 seconds to complete, and they're releasing 5 at a time.
Okay.
So it's just them adding new stuff.
Do you understand what I'm saying though? Like, do you follow me a little bit?
No, I follow you to a point in terms of just like it's a PlayStation thing in general. Like they need more products out there, and the free content, especially if there's no real way that they're advertising, like, hey, there's more free content coming, or there's no roadmap. It's just kind of like, hey, shit, look.
Yeah, like I don't know if you didn't watch the state of play.
Units.
Yeah, if you didn't watch the state of play, did you know that there's more stuff coming? Are you going to get some pop-up notification on your hub, on your PlayStation hub, that tells you to go play Astrobot again? Like. I don't know, and like that's the part of where I'm like, is it to, like you said it, like is there enough sales dollars that are kind of warranting this when they do that? Do they see a bump in player count? Do they see a potential small jump in sales of like, hey, they just released more stuff. I forgot how fun Astrobot is. And you tell me again, like, hey, you need to buy it, you need to play it. I have bought it, I just haven't played it, but I'm just using it as an example of 6 months, post Game of the Year, almost a year post launch, right?
I think so.
Yeah, almost a year post launch of like, hey, did you buy this yet? No. Oh, they just added more stuff to it. Go get it. Like, I get it. Like, I understand that stuff to it. I just don't know if that's really what they should be putting their effort and energy and attention to.
I would argue this is what they need to put their energy towards, because this is goodwill for fans for Astrobot, and Astrobot's not going to be like this massive like sales force. It's done well.
Yeah.
But I think this is, as someone like me who's just like, damn, I wish PlayStation had their soul like they did in the PS3, early PS4 era. And this feels a little bit like that. Not only is it a nostalgia grab, but in a good way, it's also like, hey, you know what? We're just going to keep adding content to this because the people that want this content are the diehard PlayStation people that are into it. I was going to uninstall Astrobot, I think, like twice already, and each time they've added new stuff, and I'm like, oh, fuck it, I'll keep it around and get to those levels eventually.
Yeah, and it will
I'm
never
running out of hard drive space.
Yeah, and we'll never see the line graph. Like you see the Steam charts where you see like, oh, like we saw like little stuff like Last of Us Season 2 on TV came out, and all of a sudden the Steam chart showed an uptick in Last of Us people playing The Last of Us. We don't get that information from PlayStation or Xbox,
unless it's gigantic. Yeah,
right.
So like I think this is just good for PlayStation. They need this sort of goodwill of like, hey, we are going to focus on like these mid-level games, and here's some extra content. And I don't think we're too far away from like an Astrobot sequel, because that studio, that's all they do now, and these games aren't huge. So I would imagine by the end of this PS5 generation, we're probably going to end up with like a third and maybe a fourth Astrobot game.
I think that's reaching.
So
I hope you're right, but I think that's reaching.
Yeah, I mean, they've already done 2, so it's like, come on, they can easily squeeze out a third and fourth one if they want. But yeah, after that we had Bloodstained: The Scarlet Engagement announced. So this is from the creators of Castlevania. This is their offshoot.
Looks very
really
cool.
cinematic
Looks very
trailer.
Cool. Looks very cool.
Looked really cool. I have the same problem I have though with a lot of side-scrolling games where like they have cool trailers, cool art style, and then I see the gameplay and it's side-scrolling platforming, and I'm just like,
See,
damn.
like somebody else said, he's like, oh, that looks like a game you're gonna die in a lot. And I'm like, yep. And it's like for whatever reason I like those, and then once I find the pattern, it's so satisfying. Like once you get but it's definitely not one of those any of these games like whether like these Guacamelee games, these Metroidvania games. Like these aren't games that you can play for an hour or 2 hours like once a week while you're playing other things. Like you really kind of need to be in the rhythm and have the muscle memory or the quick fingers on the pattern buttons to really do these. If you step away for like a week, you kind of go back to square one.
Yeah, it definitely feels that that void, like especially right now, like we don't get new Castlevania games really. We just get remasters of all the other ones, which Konami's running out of at this point to like remaster and re-release. So Bloodstained is at a really good spot where if someone's like, damn, I want a new Castlevania, Bloodstained, which is what its original, when this franchise started, there was no Castlevania games happening, and Bloodstained got to go in there. I think they did Kickstarter. They did really well. And now it forced Konami to be like, shit, we need to do Castlevania, but we don't want to put the effort into new ones, so let's just remaster all of them. And now Bloodstained is going to come in on the back end of that, of people hungry for new Castlevania, and be like, hey, here's Bloodstained. And then
it's essentially a successful version of what they tried to do with Mighty Number 9 as a Mega Man successor. Like, oh, we're gonna make a different Mega Man. Like, okay, this sucks. Oh, like we're gonna make a spiritual successor to Castlevania. Oh, this is awesome. Like,
yeah. And in the case of Mighty Number 9, it was like, okay, Mighty Number 9 failed. Your turn, Capcom, with Mega Man, and then Capcom had no answer with Mega Man,
correct.
And then now it's just a dormant
genre both are
franchise. Yeah. So we got that. One of the bigger things that came out of this is Final Fantasy Tactics Remaster. So this is coming out September 30th, fully voiced, updated graphics and UI. I think it's coming to every platform. It's funny, this hearing the music, I don't even really have like a fondness or nostalgia for this, but just seeing like that game and hearing it, I just immediately got a flashback to the olden days of like the 90s.
Yeah.
When I heard that stuff.
Like for me, I was like I've heard a lot of a large calamity of people talking about Final Fantasy Tactics for a long time, of like, when are we gonna get a remake? When are we gonna get a remake? And I'm like, okay, what's the big deal about this? I got a very much of I don't know a ton about it, but I got a very much of a Sea of Stars vibe from it, which I'm like is probably not uncommon from that developer. But the fully voiced, because like this as well as I do, like Final Fantasy games had a lot of reading. All of them
especially
have a lot
of
reading.
Yep.
And so like this is intriguing me enough that like as much fun as I had with Sea of Stars, like and a tactics turn-based kind of, like I enjoyed my my Mario Mario vs. or Mario Rabbids stuff and some of that turn-based combat. Like this has piqued my interest enough.
Yeah, no, this is cool. This would be one of those things where
I could care less about the older version of flicking back and forth between the games. I won't be doing that. I'll just be playing the new version.
It's one of those things I never flick back to the old one. I just like to know it's there.
Yeah.
It's like you hope you never have to use whatever weapon you have in your house to protect it, but you're just happy to know you have it just in case. That's how I feel about any time you can flick back to the old one. So that is coming this year. Square Enix seems to have found Square Enix is definitely trying to mimic the Capcom thing, which Capcom is just like remake, new thing, remake. Square Enix seems to have found that niche, and they're probably done doing foam stars and all those other random things, and we're getting more of this sort of stuff. After that, again, this isn't in any particular order. I kind of picked and chose, so some of this stuff might be a little out of order. But Ghost of Yotai is going to get a state of play announced for July. They at least did the smart thing where they didn't spend too much time with this because they had a state of play coming, so they've learned not to tire us out with like content.
Yeah. Yes, I agree with you. However, I'm gonna kind of spoil this a little bit at the end. I'm sorry. Like, I mean, I know we talked about it, tempered expectations when this became state of play, but this is this is really the only new first party thing we heard about.
There's like a half first party thing we'll talk about at the end. But yeah, this there's not much to say other than we're gonna get a state of play in July. This, I think, is still coming out in October, so this is a good time to kind of hype people up. Obviously, the first Ghost game was super successful. We'll see how this one carries from that. And this is going to be like the big marketing push because this is the holiday game for PlayStation.
That's all they got.
So and you know what? This could work out great for Ghost in terms of this could top the first one just because PlayStation's going to have to put that much more effort into it. Because the first Ghost, I think, came on the tail end of like The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah, I feel like it came like in an August time frame, like a late July, early August. Like, and Last of Us was June. Yeah.
So like, it's not competing against anything that we're aware of that should interfere with it, and GTA is out of the way now. So like, this is like Sucker Punch's like biggest like game that they've ever probably put out now. In terms of what it's
potentially a very potentially a very high chance that this is Game of the Year contender, like blow for blow Game of the Year contender if it's done well.
Yeah, I can't really think of anything else. I mean, Expedition 33 probably already has the award carved out for them.
Well, yeah, but they could knock it off. Like, I agree with you. Like, I mean, I think that they could if it's sequels are usually better. A second one, as they learn stuff from the first one, usually are better. They're either way better or they're just way worse. There's really no like in between.
I would say when you're doing sequels, the second one usually is way better. It's when you get to the third and fourth one where
I could argue Uncharted 2 is the best of the series.
Yeah, and I don't think many people would disagree with that. I wouldn't.
But I would say Last of Us Part 2 wasn't as good as Last of Us Part 1.
I just finished Last of Us Part 1, and I'm good jumping into Last of Us Part 2. So we'll talk about that probably next week. But yeah. Ghost stuff coming in July. We finally, which is what I think both of us predicted, or at least I might have predicted, is 007. We got a real trailer. 007 First Light from IO Interactive. It's coming in 2026. This is going to be a James Bond origin story. So
did we know that they were doing a Bond game?
Yes, all they've been teasing is like just the logo. Remember, it was at the Nintendo Switch 2 event.
I think I got that confused with like GoldenEye or something like that. I think I just dismissed it.
Yeah, they've basically been teasing the logo for like 2 years now.
This looks awesome.
IO Interactive are one of the best studios out there. They found their niche with Hitman and like really perfected Hitman, and now they're basically going to take everything they learned from that and then bump it up a notch, especially like action wise. This looks really, really good.
I mean, I'm gonna date myself, which I do almost all the time anyways, but I was actually, as a kid, I was a fan of James Bond Jr., the television show. And this didn't give me like immediate vibes to that right away, but I'll be very curious of how, like, it's an origin story, like what year is they going to take place in? Because like ideally, like if you do Bond correctly, it would be like in what, like the 40s, 50s, like.
Yeah, but it looked too modern for that.
I would agree.
It's going to be 90s or 2000s.
So the technology aspect and like, I just like I immediately got like Uncharted on steroids vibes.
Yeah, no, this looks good.
And what I mean by on steroids is like the technology stuff.
Yeah, and just, like driving is going to be probably a big part of this game at certain points in terms of like action sequences. They have so much. This is still
IO though. They can still throw some just awesome stealth in there, probably.
No, that's what I was going to say. Like they're taking everything they learned from Hitman and can apply that easily to Bond, and then up it by just adding significantly more action. Because just in like the trailer alone, we saw some boat stuff, we saw
Mm-hmm.
some car stuff, we saw like the big like rooms where you get to like run around and you're probably doing like reconnaissance. There's so many cool things you can do with Bond, and I'm not even a Bond movie
I'm not either.
fan.
So,
But this looked great, and because it's IO Interactive, I'm willing to give it a shot because I love the Hitman games.
yeah, but a spy story, like in terms of like, this is what like a foundation of video games are. Like you could argue that Metal Gear is a spy game. Like so, this is just like I'll be very curious of how they take all that stuff that they've done from Hitman and put it into like they made Agent 47. Like they created this person. And now they get to go in and work with a created character already. Like this is cool. This is really cool.
Based on I'm looking over the trailer right now. It's probably going to take place in modern times.
Okay.
Maybe it goes back maybe 5-10 years, if that. Just looking at some of the tech and cues.
And they also
area.
like they did what I love too at the end of it. Like, and we're just starting is kind of what they said. Like we're just starting with this stuff, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like please. So if this has great narrative elements to it that are like like leave you on like a cliffhanger or something like that for the next game, like please.
Yeah, and you would hope like they would be able to. Hitman content came out pretty fast, but this is on a higher cinematic level.
Yeah.
So you would hope that they have like their arc like completely planned out in terms of where they want to go for game 2, game 3, and I imagine they already have like worked that deal out regardless of how this game sells.
Mm-hmm.
PlayStation looks like they're backing it heavy. Nintendo looks like they're willing to back it heavy too because it's a big
James
game
Bond. I mean, like it's just in terms of like you put that 007 logo on a shelf, anybody walks by it, they're gonna stop. Like I mean, 80% of people that walk by it are gonna stop and look at it, and be like, "What's that?" Like,
yeah, and they're doing a smart thing by doing their own original Bond.
Yep.
They're not tying it to Daniel Craig, Pierce Brosnan, all the other ones I can't think of right now.
Yeah.
Sean Connery. They aren't tying it to them, so that gives you a fresh start. So if you are a Daniel Craig diehard fan, you're not pissed because the game isn't accurate to that character, that version of the character. They're doing all the right things in terms of this is our own Bond, but this is still James Bond at its core, which has always been a thing that James Bond has always been able to do, and it's lasted for over 50 years probably by now. So good on IO Interactive for giving that a shot. After that, we do have Luminous Arise coming from Enhance. So the Tetris Effect developers are working on Lumines, which the head of Enhance is the creator of Lumines. So this is perfect time. I love Lumines. I'm sure Josh Langford was, like super excited for that because I know he was a diehard Lumines fan. So this looked fantastic. Dave, I know that's not your thing, so I just put it in there for me.
It's fine. It looked cool.
I love stylish puzzle games.
Yeah. Like it got Angela's interest, so like there's that aspect of it as well. And then I guess at this point in time, like the only thing that I would hope for my wife would be some type of VR support for this.
I think it is going to get VR support because Tetris Effect did have VR support as well, so that is coming, I believe. Because you did buy PSVR 2, right?
Yes.
Is that a yes, Dave?
Yes, it was. Yes, I do own it. I do own it. Yes. So.
Okay. Has it been turned on since day one?
Yeah. But mostly it's for Beat Saber for my wife, who's kind of stepped away from it. But I need to check that because I think it came with a Horizon code, and I'm worried about when that code expires.
It's usually like 3 years.
Okay.
Like you want to take care of that now. 3 years from when the box was made.
Well, now it's now that code is right next to Mario Kart that I haven't downloaded on my Switch either yet. My Switch 2. I just put it right under the shelf under the TV. I'm like, I got to take care of this. Like,
I have so many. Like, I think one of my microphones came with Ubisoft credits.
Yeah.
Came with Ubisoft credit.
Or it says like only like I get a ton of Game Pass vouchers. I should probably give those away. Honestly, I get.
You might be able to still stack them too.
I don't. They say like new customers. Like
okay.
Yeah, like 2 months of Game Pass for new customers.
Yeah. All right. After that, we have Mortal Kombat Legacy from Digital Eclipse. So this is featuring over 8 Mortal Kombat games with more to come. There's going to be a documentary from Digital Eclipse, which they do such a good job with their documentaries. They did the Atari one, and I think they did 1 or 2 other of these collections. They announced so far 8 Mortal Kombat games. So we're talking about 1 through 4, and then also they're doing the Game Boy version, the Game Boy or the Game Gear version, the SNES version, the Genesis version. So it's the full run of stuff. I think they announced Mortal Kombat Advance, Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance for the Game Boy Advance. Like all those are coming, and even more. This is such a cool collection. Yeah, they did Tetris Forever, Atari 50th Anniversary Collection. They know what they're doing when they do these documentaries, and this just looks fantastic. As a Chicago person who loves Mortal Kombat, like loves that era of the only time Chicago was really game development central.
Selfishly, I hope that they spend a lot of time to like talking about their kind of their feud with Nintendo with Blood. Like that's it. Like there was
that has to come up a little bit. Yeah.
Like that's the most fascinating part of games that had green blood. Like
it sounds like they got the creators of the people from Mortal Kombat themselves. So Boone and Tobias are going to be in this, so they're probably going to talk about that. And the Genesis version and the SNES version are included in this. It's going to be kind of funny. I want to see the Game Boy, the black and white Game Boy version of Mortal Kombat.
No, you don't.
I want to see it on my TV and controlling it with a proper controller. I don't know why. And they said online play for like all the games. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to fucking dedicate myself to the Game Gear version of Mortal Kombat 1.
Oh my God.
And just going to get into the rank servers only for that one. If that's how it works, we'll see. But yeah, this was a nice surprise. This is pretty cool. Digital Eclipse does amazing work, so it's good to see them take this on. We had Neo 3 was announced. Big trend through all three things. Neo is its own franchise now. This is the third one, really popular. But man, there are so many like plug and play Souls-like content that was through all three of these showcases. Neo stands by itself now.
Lots of ninjas, lots of samurais.
yeah, and just Soulsborne stuff. So yeah, we got Pragmata. We got a Pragmata trailer. So that's the astronaut with the little girl thing.
Some NASA collaboration or something like that too, right? Like.
No, that was the other game from.
Okay. Pragmata, she's on the shoulder. Sorry.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, this is a space game, but you're thinking of the one that's with like the European Space Union or Association,
something like that. Yeah.
This was an interesting trailer. Nothing too much here. They did say, I think there's like a cheeky like when the game's gonna come out sort of thing attached to it.
I'm
just like when
super interested in the character, the character development between the little girl and the main character. Like that, like they already kind of planted that seed well. Where I was like, I want to know more about them.
Yeah, they did a lot more than they've done before. This game, I think maybe next year, but they also again it was just like when it's ready. I think was the tagline added. So we'll see where that ends up going. We had Thief VR2 announced.
Is this them paying PlayStation back finally? Like 25 years later?
For
Agent. Sorry, that was an Agent game, I think.
That was Agent. Yeah.
My bad. This
Thief
looked cool.
Is from this looked cool, yeah. I had to go back and like mentally like who the fuck owns Thief? Oh, it's still Eidos. Eidos owns Thief, and Eidos is owned by Embracer still.
Sure. Okay.
Or did IO take Eidos with them? I don't know, but either way, Thief VR is coming, so VR2 is getting something. We have Sword of the Sea coming from the Abzu Journey creators. I was so confused because the first shot I'm like Journey, and then a second shot I'm like Abzu, and it's like no, it's actually this looks like they combined.
Yeah, it looks cool.
There's even some flower elements thrown in there because you saw like flower taking over the desert, and I'm just like, okay,
Journey on a surfboard.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Give me Tony Hawk's Journey or whatever this is going to end up being.
Look cool though.
Yeah, we got then Romeo is Dead Man, I believe is the title.
I think there's an A in there somewhere, but
I wouldn't be. Yeah, I mean that would make sense.
Romeo
but also,
is a dead man or something.
I'm gonna check, Dave, because this is Suda 51, and he don't give one fuck.
It looked really cool. In terms of like a...
Okay, it is a dead man, except the A is a triangle in the logo. There we go. Romeo is a dead man.
I thought this looked pretty cool. Might be a little bit too over the top for me.
That Suda 51 is one of those things where they have a style, and that style is very bombastic. The humor is usually pretty crude. The art style was kind of all over the place. Like that opening cutscene was a completely different art style than we saw for the gameplay.
Yeah.
But then we also, I think, saw like a third art style at one point. But you're like traveling through space. Your grandfather is on your jacket.
There was a lot going on. So
you're a dead person who's been like reincarnated. A lot of things going on in this. Looks cool. Suda51's games, I feel like, very much as a developer that like you either vibe with his games or you don't. Like there's no in between. You either really like Lollipop Chainsaw or you played it and think it's garbage. Same thing with Shadows of the Damned, I think, was Suda51. Just if you just go through Suda51's library, it is just filled with games of just like you either love it or you hate it. So it's if you don't like Suda51 games, this game's not going to do anything to change your mind. I like Suda51, so
yeah,
I'll probably play it. And then we have the biggest announcement, the biggest what the fuck, and that is Marvel Token Fighting Souls. So Marvel is getting a new fighting game, but this isn't coming from Capcom. This is coming from Arc Systems work, the famed 2D art style fighting game developer, and PlayStation. So there's a joint partnership. They're working with XDev, which is the PlayStation like third party program, to develop a Marvel fighting game. This is going to be 4v4, heavily anime art style because that is what System Arc does. And this looks fucking stylish as hell. The trailer was in all Japanese, but I think it added to the trailer. This basically kills anyone's hope for Marvel vs. Capcom to release or make a comeback at any point. This is here to replace it, and it looks like it is going to be 4v4, and that seems kind of chaotic.
Kind of chaotic.
Characters.
It look yeah.
Yeah.
It looks, yeah.
No, Dave, your response to this, because it's just it's a fighting game.
At first, I thought it was Marvel vs. Capcom. I legitimately like what I was getting. I was getting a lot of vibes from that, and I think that in this post Marvel acquisition world of Fantastic Four and X-Men and everything now, like this is kind of, you don't need Capcom.
Nope.
Because you can bring the X-Men in, you can bring Fantastic Four in, you can bring Spider-Man in, and then they're putting the Japanese element onto it as well, of where like kind of Marvel gave them the autonomy, like we've talked about before. Like that ain't my Iron Man, but he looks cool as hell.
Yeah, it's Mecha Iron Man.
Yeah,
he looks Gundam-ish.
Yep.
And the art style. Some of the art styles for each character seemed like it was drawn by completely different artists a couple different times, but it worked pretty well.
Yeah.
But there's some cool things you could do if you're not sticking with the traditional.
Yeah, and there was a lot of characters in that time that they kept showing. Like I didn't go back and like I even look at.
I have a list.
Yeah, but I mean,
I have a list of what they have now.
What's the number though? Like I mean, like I don't read them all, but it's got to be like 28, 29.
No, they didn't show that many.
Really?
No, they showed maybe like I think 8. Dave, I think
no,
they showed 8.
There was more than 8.
All right, Captain America, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Doctor Doom, Storm, Miss Marvel, Star-Lord, and Ghost Rider.
I'd have to look again. I swear they showed more than that. So
no, they showed a 4v4 battle, but it was chaotic. There was a lot going on. It was changing scenes. There's so much more they can do, and also just to your point of Marvel has all of their licenses in order now. We did see just I hate to break it down to like this because comic fans are going to get pissed, but we have like our MCU representation with Captain America, Iron Man. We have our Sony representation with Spider-Man. We have our Fantastic Four representation with Doctor Doom. We have Ghost Rider, the Robbie Reyes version of Ghost Rider. They pulled from it. We have an X-Men. We have Storm. So just seeing everybody come from there.
Yeah, maybe my mind automatically went to more people when I saw, to your point, when I saw like pillars from each version of this.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's going to take a while for us to get used to there even being pillars.
Yeah.
Because we were so used to how the movies
divisions,
broke
branches,
apart.
whatever the hell you want to call it. Like.
Yeah, And this is that step in terms. I mean, Marvel Rivals also was that step of like, hey, here X-Men and Fantastic Four and
but you could go
Marvel
down
characters.
you could go down the X-Men path a long way and go to the main characters and the main villains, and then you can go down the Fantastic Four path. And I mean, just me not even knowing enough Fantastic Four, the Fantastic Four, Silver Surfer, Doctor Doom, and that's about as far as I know. There's way more. I know there's more, but that's 6 characters. That's a season package for this game.
Yeah, and because they're doing 4v4, they're gonna have to start with a huge roster, but you can see where seasonal content can come into play. And it's a 2D fighter, so that gives them a little bit more flexibility as well in terms of
like putting Thanos in this game as a fighting character, like that would be so cool. Like,
I mean, he was in Marvel vs. Capcom, so like you can do that and find a reason to do it, and also
Magneto, like and like oh jeez.
There's so many things, and you can do deeper cuts too, like which I hope they do. I mean, Marvel Rivals pulled Jeff the Land Shark. You can potentially pull more and more characters. This looked great. I do think 4v4 is a lot. I liked how they built up to this announcement because like halfway through the show, they're like, hey, we're releasing a fight stick. And people are like, why the fuck is PlayStation releasing a fight stick?
Why is it wireless?
I'm hoping there'll be a cable.
Just like, come on, that can't be what you lead with. And my wife's like, what's the big deal? And I'm like, I don't use fight sticks. It is wired too. Okay, somebody said it is wired too. Okay, awesome.
Okay, but perfect.
Like wireless, like I feel like if you're making a fighting stick, like you cannot lead with that because the people that you want to buy that are gonna be like, bleh.
I mean, as soon as I saw wireless, I'm like, oh, remember a couple years ago when someone's Razer controller disconnected from a tournament? Like that is something that I saw echoed by a lot of people. It's
not even like the disconnect sucks, but I mean, like they legitimately think that there's input lag, and there might be.
There is. There is. But we're talking about milliseconds, but that's enough in a high, stakes tournament. This looked great. The fight stick looked cool, but it's probably gonna be like a $300 fight stick.
More than that.
But between them releasing a fight stick, this coming out next year, and then also PlayStation owns Evo, this is going to get a big push in the fighting game community. And I'm glad they're working with Arc System.
It's just really like it's just weird too. Like I'm sure Arc System is great. I don't understand the fighting community at all, but Sony was essentially making Street Fighter exist. If Sony didn't invest in Street Fighter, it wouldn't exist. So I'm curious, does this potentially mean that they might be moving on from, like, we're not going to see Street Fighter 7?
Well, Capcom seems really set. Like they just announced the full DLC, the next season, which is going to be from this summer to next spring for Street Fighter 6.
Okay.
So Capcom is set on like, hey, we are going to support 6 for a couple years now, like they did with 5. 5 last like 2-3 years of support. So PlayStation at this point is probably like, we bought Evo, we can't live off content packs for Street Fighter 6. Okay. We need to go fund something else.
Yeah.
And we aren't going to do PlayStation All-Stars, so let's put money into something that could be successful and slap in the Marvel logo on something. And the Marvel vs. Capcom community has been dying for stuff.
So
I wonder though, the Marvel vs. Capcom collection had just come out earlier this year from Capcom, and I felt like that was Capcom trying to get a feel for if people want more Marvel vs. Capcom. And then they saw this.
Do you think they knew that this existed?
Maybe in MVC collection was them being like, hey, before you greenlight that, we just sold a shit ton of copies of our collection.
Because forgive my ignorance, you might be able to answer this, you might not be able to, but like, what else is what's Arc Systems known for?
They are known for a ton of like stylish fighting games.
Okay.
Was it BlazBlue? Let me pull up the last couple years. I think they did the.
People seem pretty excited that they were doing this.
I want to say they did the Dragon Ball. Yeah, they did the Dragon Ball FighterZ. I just wanted to make sure before I checked.
Right,
yeah. Cool. So Dragon Ball FighterZ, if you remember, Dave, like post-pandemic, did really fucking well in terms of like it made Dragon Ball like a good game.
Yeah, Guilty Gear, BlazBlue. Okay, all right.
Yeah, BlazBlue. There you go. And then they did Persona 4 Arena Ultimax. They've done a lot of different fighters, and they are known for their like amazing art style. So
yeah, are they? But how did they do? Like, did Dragon Ball ended up being like a competitive fighter?
Yes, it
Okay.
ended up like its first year.
Okay.
It made it to like the main event of Evo, so
Okay.
it went from like
You always worry
hey,
about that company like trying to go into the esport part of it and like the fighting community. It is a legitimate esport. What Street Fighter is accomplishing, what Mortal Kombat for a little while got to, but you know what Smash kind of has been a little bit of, you know, like the balance patches, and then a company trying to go full, you know, arcade fighter versus competitive fighter can be a challenge sometimes. But if they've got the pedigree for it, like kudos to them. I get my ass kicked in any fighting game, so I.
Yeah, no, they Dragon Ball Fighter Z, if I remember correctly, its debut year there was such fan fervor for it that it ended up main eventing one of the Evos along with Street Fighter, which is a big move. Usually it's just like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat main event sort of thing. Or Tekken, not Mortal Kombat.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they have the pedigree, and also PlayStation owns Evo. So even if it wasn't, you know, going to work out, PlayStation is going to make sure this main event's Evo or is one of the pillars of Evo when it comes out next year. I imagine they said 2026. I imagine your first tournament is going to be Evo, whether this game's out or not next year, which is usually in the summer. So we'll see where this goes. It sounds like they've been working on it for a little bit now based on the content they had available. But yeah, that was PlayStation. Dave, we spent a lot of time with PlayStation, so we're burned through this. But what did you think of PlayStation overall?
It's fine. They completed their third-party contractual obligations. That's what I felt like this was. Announcements for these things, like there's a significant first-party problem. I mean, no, like right off the bat, no Marathon at all. Nothing.
I mean,
I understand. I understand, but I'm just saying, no Fair Games and no Wolverine at all. Nothing.
Yeah, they have to be saving Wolverine for Game Awards now. But if that happens, then Wolverine's 2027. Like if we don't hear about Wolverine till Game Awards, that's 2027, which is good for like, PlayStation.
And, you know, no Blue Point, no Santa Monica. No, you know, like it's just like, and it's not what it was supposed to be, but it's still. I don't care what you call it. There's expectations for you doing an event in June. I'm sorry, there is.
Yeah, and no matter how hard they've tried to let people know what a state of play is versus a showcase, it doesn't matter. Timing is everything. Switch 2 just launched and had multiple events leading up to it. You have the Summer Game Fest, you have the Xbox Showcase. Not that Xbox or Summer Game Fest were much better, but we'll go from there. We'll jump into this next one. So Summer Game Fest was Friday. It was in the afternoon. I completely forgot about it and had to watch it like on tape delay. We'll go through this real quick. We had Mortal Shell 2. Sorry, I've been playing with the Switch 2 wristband things. Okay. This is the most fun I've had with the Switch, is just having these just like as like some weird fucking
fidget, like
fidget
you have a fidget. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so we had Mortal Shell 2 coming in 2026, Code Vein 2 coming in 2026, and Atomic Heart 2 coming sometime in the future.
It's been a long time between these games. Atomic Heart, right? It's been a long time.
No, Atomic Heart came out just a year ago.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking of Valiant Heart or something. Okay, sorry.
You're thinking, you might be thinking about something else. Atomic Heart is that like cyberpunkish future-looking thing.
Okay.
There was a big controversy with like Russia or the Ukraine around that game. I forget exactly what the controversy was.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mortal Shell 2 is obviously a sequel. It's kind of a Souls-like game. Code Vein, I wasn't expecting a sequel. I feel like it's been a really long time since Code Vein 1. I feel like I saw Code Vein 1 at our last E3.
Okay.
So I feel like it's been a while. Atomic Heart 2, that was a trailer that they were pretty upfront of this, like, hey, this just started full development, which means this was an advertisement for please come work for us.
Yeah.
So we'll move past that. We have Felt That Boxing, which is a boxing puppet game. So it's like Punch Out, but with like dirty Muppets.
Okay.
Really cool looking, and it's like realistic puppets. Like they found a way to like animate puppets.
I
super.
must have jumped way around too much in these things.
To be fair, if you did jump around, you would have skipped this because you thought it was like a commercial.
Okay.
Because it just looked like.
No, I'm just looking. I'm really
commercial.
looking at this list of Okay. I didn't do as good of a job as I should have. So.
Yeah, we have Killer Inn. This is a Square Enix backed murder mystery game. So this is, this looked like.
Here, can Angela play this game?
It is a multiplayer game where you are trying to like deceive and steal and kill real IRL players or whatever,
Okay.
like other online players. So probably not. Maybe, I don't know. That looked pretty cool. It was a surprise coming from Square Enix, so it looks like they are still working with third parties to kind of publish things. We got Arc Raiders coming October 30th. This is an extraction shooter for Embark Studios. This is the one that everyone's really excited about. This is the extraction shooter everyone was comparing Marathon to, so it does have a release date because they probably see an opportunity now that Marathon is kind of up in the air. Did you see anything with Arc Raiders, or just?
I need to look again. I did not. So.
Okay. We have Dying Light: The Beast coming August 22nd. So Dying Light, this is kind of like an expansion standalone sort of thing for Dying Light, and it's coming soon. We got a Scott Pilgrim X or EX coming from Tribute Games in 2026. I was really excited about this.
This is you. Yep.
Yeah, Tribute Games. I believe they did Shredder's Revenge and some of the other 2D side-scrolling beat 'em ups. So they found their groove and they're running with it. We have the thing that Dave was hoping for happened, but he missed it.
Yeah, I did. So.
Blighted from Drinkbox Games. So the Guacamelee devs do have a new game, and it apparently is coming soon, but they don't want to say what that means.
Yep. It looked cool. I mean, like a 90-second trailer. Their art style is awesome. It's been awesome all the time. That like underworld art style that they've essentially just mastered, in my opinion. So,
yeah, this it gave me some Hades vibes. It did seem like not like a serious game, but more serious than some of the stuff we've seen before. I always associate them with Guacamelee. I didn't really play Nobody Saves the World, but still shows their art style. You can tell it is a Drinkbox game when you first look at it. Yep. But it looks like it's
they're to the point where I'm playing the game no matter what. So I think somebody in chat's like he was like hoping for Guacamelee 3. I think that's being worked on. I legitimately think that's being worked on, but that comes with a really, really high bar at this point in time, like a really high bar.
It's a high bar, and also like if it doesn't do well, it could be very damning for the studio in terms of just like sales wise and all that stuff.
Yeah.
People really love Guacamelee, but is it a huge seller for them would be questionable. We got the gross out game of the show, Ill. You're just shooting a lot of like bald mutants and like mutant babies that are going around. This thing was gross as hell, but I guess if you're into that thing, Ill is coming soon. The Wu-Tang Clan have a game, Rise of the Deceiver. This is going to be made with Ghostface as like the director, I guess, of it, or in partnership with him. So this looked pretty cool. We got Stranger Than Heaven, the next game from RGG Studio, the Like a Dragon devs. This was previously announced as Project Century, but we got to see what this game is actually about, and it's going to have some time travel mixed in with this. Dave's typing, which means Dave probably missed this trailer as well. But this looked super cool to see this studio trying something new and different. When I originally saw the Project Century, it just looked like, oh, you're just doing Like a Dragon Yakuza, but in like the 1900s, and then finding out like, no, we're doing something completely different. It's a relief that like Sega's letting them do something a little bit different than their bread and butter.
Yeah, I'm kind of going back and looking at this Arc Raiders trailer again too, and it's all like CG stuff. So
yeah, but they've had some tests that went really well, as opposed to
Marathon.
Bungie's went. Yeah. And then we had Resident Evil Requiem coming February 2026. So this is Resident Evil 9. It looks like whose daughter are you playing as? You're playing as someone's daughter. It looks like you might be returning to Raccoon City. This looked cool. A lot of people are suspecting it was a fake out trailer and the person you see isn't who you're actually going to be playing as. But it was the big thing to end Summer Game Fest. So Capcom, they are still like unstoppable right now in terms of how fast they're able to pump out remakes for Resident Evil and new sequels for Resident Evil. So they are in a groove, as I mentioned, other studios are in as well, and Capcom is just they're just moving. They're keeping it going, and this looked pretty damn cool.
Yeah. I didn't really get to see a ton of this, so I didn't do as good of a job as I thought I did on these recaps. But nothing was like blowing up on my social feed that came out of any of this stuff. So
yeah, for me, the things that like came out of this from my feeds, it was Scott Pilgrim, Blighted. A lot of people liked the felt that boxing thing, but I think it's a cool art style. But whether it's gonna actually be like a fun game to play is we'll have to see. But yeah, Resident Evil Requiem was pretty big of an announcement and a reveal. Though it feels like we have hit a point with Resident Evil where it's almost just expected that we will get a Resident Evil like at least every year or every other year. So excitement's there, but then also it's just it's become just like a given that we are going to get that. But yeah, overall, Summer Game Fest was fine. I cut out, it was like 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours long. There was a lot of stuff. There was a lot of stuff that kind of just bled together and felt samey. I still don't know if I like Summer Game Fest as an E3 replacement. There needs to be a little bit more of a split in terms of, I like the way, it used to be Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox, so you kind of could put things in different compartments, but you can't really do that with Summer Game Fest. So it just kind of just feels like a endless, trailer. So don't know if I still like the formats when it comes to Summer Game Fest, but it was okay. It was a decent show. Dave, are you ready to move on to Xbox?
Yeah, I was just, there was something else that had like that and I guess maybe we'll talk about it when we talk about the Xbox thing, but like that Ninja Gaiden Ragebound coming July 31st. That was at the State of Play as well. That side scroller.
Yes.
And I was trying to I was looking for that a little bit too. So we were talking about Bloodstained side scroller. And I just there was another one that I knew had piqued my interest. There was three things that really grabbed my interest from the State of Play. So now we're up to 4 things that have my attention. Which is overall it's getting better. So.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Xbox is going to add really too much to that list, but here we go. First thing, Xbox officially unveils the ROG Xbox Ally, which is their handheld PC with support of all major stores. It's a Windows machine. Dave's got a ROG, but this is officially licensed by Xbox, and it is going to launch the same day Hollow Knight Silksong launches, because that is coming to Game Pass. It's weird how they kind of just packed that into this announcement.
This go ahead.
Looks cool, but as a handheld, it's not exactly what I want. But
and keep in mind, I wouldn't. I don't. They haven't talked about pricing. I believe when I bought mine, I bought the Z1 Extreme, I think, or whatever. Mine was like $800. My ROG Ally. I really like it. It doesn't get the attention and the time from me that it should. It is dockable. I don't know if the Xbox Ally would be like this or not. I would assume
it should be.
Yeah, it is dockable. The thing that there's 2 things that I've seen over the last couple of days that I'm most intrigued about. One is the visual aesthetic. Part of the problem I have with the ROG Ally is it fucking hurts my hands, holding it, and those grips looking interesting to me. I need to hold it, and if it feels more comfortable, I will probably buy this, but I need to hold it. Because other than that, that would be the only reason that I would buy this is for the form factor. The Xbox button, sure, this is ROG making another version of their thing with Microsoft paying part of the bill. That's all this is. So kudos to ROG to get this accomplishment. And then something that you might be intrigued by that I've heard already read through a little bit of this is that it is a very, very truncated version of Windows, a very, very limited version of Windows to get to the games.
That.
Right. To get to the games first, to get to the games faster. I will say that I do like my ROG Ally. There is a button, Armor Crate. I push that button and my launcher pops up, and I can have Steam, Xbox, certain games downloaded. I just click on those and I play them. I don't have to open up Ubisoft Connect. I don't have to open up EA Play. I don't have to do any of that stuff. So eliminating those things. It's the same concept as putting the desktop icon on your screen, but it's nice that button can just come up. Supposedly it's going to be a smaller, like to where it frees up. I think they said another 2 or 3 gigs of RAM, that allow the games to run smoother. But this is just another thing of Xbox is just, and it in comparison to what Sony showed, like Xbox is like, hey, everything, I think almost everything they showed is a Game Pass game, and I believe everything they showed is an Xbox Play Anywhere game.
Not everything coming to Game Pass, but everything is a Play Anywhere game.
Yeah, so like that's, for me, that's like super interesting, and that just builds that additional layer of accessibility of like I can play this on my I can play this on my Xbox, my Series. I can play this on my ROG. I can play this on my PC. I can take my ROG with me and I can play it. I can sign into my Xbox account and play something via the cloud. You don't have to buy it on Xbox and buy it on a handheld and buy it on a PC. It's what I wish Sony would do with their like I wish that I own Ghost of Tsushima on PS5, and if I want to play it on my PC, I should be able to. Like I feel like that would be, I already gave you my money. Why do I have to give it to you twice? So that's a very interesting. I mean, they've been doing this approach. That's a very interesting factor. And I'm in the middle of this stuff right now. Like I'm like, full disclosure, I'm looking at another television, for my living room, and especially now with the Switch 2, and I've been thinking about a Pro with it being on sale for like $50 or $60 off or whatever. Probably not going to do it because like my son has a PlayStation in Kentucky. I have a PlayStation here. If I get a third one, if I get a Pro and put this other one in another room, am I really going to be able to share my digital content correctly? And I don't think so, because it struggles. Across 3
it just can't be can't be logged in twice.
Yeah, so versus I can pick up a game, play it on my ROG for a little bit, save it, come downstairs, play on my PC. Oh, I'm gonna go upstairs and sit on the couch and play it on the couch now on my big screen TV, and it just works. Like I did Nobody Saves the World, and I went back and forth. I've done like tons of stuff, like, and I need to get Expedition 33 on my ROG, like just done tons of things. And if this somehow streamlines that, they're saying a lot of stuff, like I'm with you, Michael, they're talking a big game of smaller windows and easier to the game faster, and this is an Xbox, like, but it's still a Windows PC, and I need to see the price.
So the current Ally X from ROG that has comparable specs is $900.
Okay. Which I think they just had a price increase recently, partially because of tariff.
Yeah,
because I did not pay $900 for that.
Well, no, you didn't get the Ally X. You got the standard one.
I think I did. I think I got the. I'd have to pull my Best Buy account. So
no, I'm pretty sure you got the $600 one.
Okay.
I want to say you got the $549 one. This is the X one, so this is like the highest model one. That one is currently going for like $900. So it is pretty crazy. A lot of speculation is saying it's going to be within $800 to $1,000 for the high end one. The ROG, the standard one, just the Ally, that one is going to maybe be in that like $600 to $800 range. It's the Ally X that is the super high end one that could be up to $1,000.
Yeah, so I have the ROG. I have the ROG Ally 7, AMD Ryzen Z1 Extreme processor.
Yeah, the X is the model above that.
Yeah, so mine was $741 when I bought it.
Yeah, the ROG Ally X I think came out like a year after yours.
And now it's $640. Now it's $650 now. Okay.
Yeah, but either way, we'll see how well this works. I imagine the services stuff is going to work well. It's going to be a matter of like how good of an improvement are we going to get on Windows on this, and how smooth of a experience is that going to be? Because everything on paper sounds good. We know the ROG Ally works well already. You do have to jump through some hoops because you're fighting Windows a little bit. So if they can streamline that, not too bad. Yeah. But in terms of the flexibility they're promising, we'll see how they streamline that. But that was it was a pretty big thing for them to show. The device itself doesn't look too different from what the ROG looks like now, but
other than the grips,
stuff.
Other than the grips look different, and that's what being able to. Kind of like grip it and be able to almost like put my hands around it like you do a DualSense or you do an Xbox controller, like versus like kind of resting them on there. So
yeah, it could be a game changer. And then also, hey, Hollow Knight Silksong is actually going to come out this year.
Mm-hmm.
Who knew? After that, we had High on Life 2, sequel to High on Life. This looks pretty much the same. They didn't do any voice acting in it because they're going to have to get sound alikes, which he'll probably just get the Rick and Morty sound alikes that replace Justin Roiland. So we'll see how that ends up going. This surprised me. They showed a game, Resonance, and it looked cool-ish. I was like kind of intrigued by it. You saw like Rome and this girl.
No, I got no Plague Tale vibes from this until the end. I'm like at the end. I'm like, huh.
Yeah, it's Resonance, a Plague Tale story, and it's coming in 2026. Maybe is a prequel based on how it could be a prequel, it could be a sequel in terms of how the second game ended. It ended being like, hey, the thing that happened here has happened throughout time. So based on the fact that we saw Rome stuff happening, they could go back to like, hey, here's when like the curse started, or there's other things they could do that would be a spoiler. I'm interested in this just because it has the Plague Tale name attached to it. I need to see more in terms of why it has a Plague Tale's name attached to it to get truly excited.
Mm-hmm.
We got Blood of Dawnwalker from former CD Projekt Red folks. This is funny. When I saw this trailer, I was like, man, this looks like it's trying to be a Final Fantasy. This looks like it's trying to be a Witcher.
Yeah.
This looks like it's trying to be an Elder Scrolls, Game of Thrones. And then it was just like, oh, these are former CD Projekt Red people. That's why there's Witcher vibes to it.
Yeah.
We'll see how this works out. Dave, do you have any thoughts on that one? It didn't really pop out to me.
Yeah, it didn't really pop out to me either, other than I didn't realize that it was former CD Projekt Red folks, so no idea.
Yeah. Super Meat Boy 3D.
This looked fun.
Yeah, it looked fun. This looks like a game that, just like the original Super Meat Boy, will probably frustrate the hell out of you. It being in 3D could be, add a little bit to that, because they've been just re-releasing Super Meat Boy over and over and over and over again. So just to see new Super Meat Boy in 3D, it just seems like a natural progression. Ninja Gaiden 4 launches in October. So this is the proper Ninja Gaiden sequel. This is what Ubisoft was trying to do with
Prince of
Persia.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, here's this small thing to get you through the summer, and then we'll release the big one at the end of the year. That didn't work out. Ninja Gaiden seems like they are going to actually be successful on here's the side scroller for the summer. And
this
here's
looks
the big
awesome
one.
too. Ninja Gaiden 4 looks awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
I missed the Ninja Gaiden series because it launched on Xbox first. Or on the 360.
The new 3Ds, the 3Ds.
Yeah,
and then the problem too with Ninja Gaiden for a while was like, especially as a teenager, and then you as an older teenager, like, it just like those games on the Super Nintendo and the 64 just whipped your ass. Like like, they were quarter eaters. They were like quarter eaters that got ported to consoles, and they just beat your ass.
Those were rental killers.
Yeah.
Those were like, I got a 3-day rental and I'm fucked because I can't beat this game.
Yep.
So yeah, Ninja Gaiden 4 is coming. Looks pretty good. We have
Game Pass, right?
Yes, Game Pass.
Yep.
We have Beast of Reincarnation coming in 2026. This is from the Pokemon devs. This is a Souls-like game.
I think I fell asleep during this part.
Yeah. I imagine, Dave, you check out every time you see like a blocker parry and it looks kind of Soulsborne.
Not all the time. I can play some of these blocker parry games, but
you can play them, but you prefer not to seek them out. So when they pop up on screen, so this is the Pokemon devs. This is Game Freaks. Yeah. This is very stylish, future, like post-apocalyptic sort of game. Interesting. I honestly, watching the trailer, I was like, okay, we're getting another Soulsborne, but because I saw the Game Freaks logo, I'm like, you know what? They haven't really done anything outside of Pokemon in a while. There's some 3DS games. I want to see what this actually is going to be when it comes out. Because the current flack Game Freak gets is the Pokemon games kind of suck. And is it them or is it Nintendo? So if they can release like a fully fleshed out game that's a new IP and it's received well, that's going to put the pressure on Nintendo to like, hey, maybe give Game Freak a little bit more time and let them cook, as opposed to just kind of pumping out like the same Pokemon games over and over again.
Yeah.
After that, we got a pretty beefy trailer for Clockwork Revolution. Hoping you saw this, Dave.
I
It was
did.
a pretty
This got
interesting,
some more.
stylish.
Yeah, this got some more of my attention as the trailer kept going.
Yeah,
What was the game? Shoot.
Bioshock Infinite,
Yes, that, but also
Dishonored,
no, the other one that just came out, the Assassin's game. The time travel, like the time loop game.
Deathloop.
Yes, like so.
Yeah.
Potentially, what maybe Deathloop wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
This looks
Yeah,
this looks really cool.
Yeah, it's funny. So like the whole premise of the game is interesting to get the steampunk, so the style is all there. I loved how they showed the character creator where someone is going to the police station to say they were robbed by someone, and as a person's describing them, you're picking the character that he's describing, and then you're creating your character. I was a little worried because it was a lot of shoot combat before they showed you the hook behind the gameplay, because it was like, oh, if we're just like shooting guns, like that kind of loses some aura. But then it was like, actually, there's some time travel shit you can do and some manipulation of the world and the environment you can do, and that's when it kind of hooked me again, of just like, oh, okay, there's more than just like, hey, we got a revolver. This looked fantastic. This also was a trailer that they kind of were just like, we're working on it, leave us alone.
Ready in due time, I think they said, or something like that.
Yes.
So this studio in Exile is mainly known for Wasteland.
Yes. Yeah.
There's a Bard's Tale in here. There's Choplifter, Hunted, the Demons.
They're one of the studios that Microsoft owns quietly.
Yeah,
they're a studio that Microsoft,
since they've been purchased, they really only, since they've been purchased by Microsoft in 2018, they brought out Wasteland Remastered, Wasteland 3, and then now they're working on Clockwork Revolution. They had a heist game that was canceled though. Yeah,
this looks fantastic. A lot of style. I can see there being a big push for this game, and I believe it's coming out every platform. I'd have to look again. But there were, I will say, quite a few PlayStation logos in their showcase, which is good. That means we're finally over.
So on their Wikipedia, it just says Windows and Xbox Series X and S.
Okay, all right. So I might be misremembering, but there were a lot of PlayStation logos in this.
Yes,
overall,
there was. Yeah.
Which is interesting to me because it means we're over that point of like ignoring the fact that third-party games come to other platforms. Like you can put the PlayStation logo, you can put the Epic Game Store logo, you can put the PC game logo, or the Steam. So like just seeing all those logos was good. But Clockwork Revolution, it looked fantastic. Like this was probably like my game of showcase.
Yeah, I mean, selfishly, I hate the when it's ready thing, but at the same time, I don't want to see a date and then have it get delayed. So like I'm I hate it, but I love it. So
at least they had some fun.
Don't show me much more, please, unless you're going to show me another trailer with a date.
I would imagine that would be the next time we see this game, and Microsoft seems to be okay with letting them just kind of work in the background as one of their quiet studios. A studio that isn't quiet is Obsidian. Grounded 2 is launching in early access this summer. It's not going to be called Grounded 2. That's just the working title. It's going to be early access. So Grounded 2, hey, it's coming. More grounded, new. Do we need this?
Like, is this? I mean,
the first one was surprisingly popular.
I know that. I did try. So,
yeah. I would wonder if you would like the full game, because we both tried to play it during early access and it wasn't.
Yeah, I just didn't really. I didn't really like couldn't really get into the building and the like making forts and bases and protecting yourself from bugs and stuff like that. So I'd have to really see if this has a little bit of a different story. It looked like potentially as they were kind of doing the trailer, and I was like, is this more grounded? I was like, there was a really cool story there. Like the game itself had a really interesting story, but I never got to it.
Yeah, especially in the early access. Like it was just like, I guess I'll wait for the story, and I think time never worked in our favor for getting back to it. We after that, Chronos New Dawn from Bloober Team will be out this fall. So Bloober Team, following up Silent Hill last year, it has another horror game coming out this year. One game that caught my attention, probably unsurprising to Dave because it's just a weird game. There Are No Ghosts at the Grand Hotel coming in 2026.
It caught my attention, lost my attention, caught my attention.
There's so much going on. This game could be an absolute mess based on the amount of plates they're trying to spin. So it looks like it is a renovation remodel sim, musical, mystery game. There's a lot of things going. So it sounds like you inherited a hotel from like your uncle or your grandfather, and you have to fix it up, and you also have to fix up the town. But you're really in town because you don't think your grandfather's dead. You think he's been kidnapped or is lost or something. So on the side of running an Airbnb, you're trying to unravel the mystery of what happened to your family. And then also there's supernatural elements on top of it. So there's so many things going on here. And then also the characters, when they were talking to you, were all singing and dancing.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, what the fuck is going on here?
And so the problem is, and I'm not comparing the two of these when I say this, but I got a little bit, just a little bit, and you can laugh at me if you want to laugh at me, but I got a little bit of Redfall vibe from it when you walk away from it. Like, what is it? Is it like, what are we doing here? What is this? Is this
so not Redfall as in a gameplay comparison, but just of like, what are you?
Yeah.
Like,
what are you trying to be here? So
I had the same reaction to it, but there is enough elements there that I'm just like, you know what? I like each and every one of those elements. I'll give it a shot. It's coming to Game Pass. Yeah. It's not going to cost me anything technically, kind of. Yeah. To give it a shot.
I saw like pressure washer spraying, and then I saw like
you have a magic gun that helps you renovate.
Yeah. So and then I saw like drawing logos on doors, and the doors opened, and like or on the wall.
So much, so much happening. I'm willing to give it a shot. After that, we had Persona 4 Remake confirmed. This was a completely throwaway little trailer. It just kind of showed the main character kind of walking in the streets. I don't know if this was always originally the announcement. This announcement was just them confirming they're working on it, but there was controversy last week. Yuri, I always forget his last name, the voice actor for the main character, basically came out and said, hey, I am not going to be the voice actor for the Persona 4 remake. Capcom doesn't want me. And most people's responses was, there's a Persona 4 remake. And then he deleted the tweet and then went radio silent. And other voice actors from Persona 4 came out and said, we are not being asked to voice our characters in the remake. So basically, Atlas was forced to kind of put a trailer together potentially of like, well, shit, they spoiled the announcement. There's negative connotation behind our upcoming announcement. And then we just kind of got a throwaway trailer saying that like the game is in development now and it could be a while before we see the game.
Yeah, we gotta like get our contracts under par for these voice actors.
Something, or at least tell the actors of like, hey, we're not having you come back because you already recorded your work, so we're just gonna use that dialogue.
Yeah.
I don't know. Bizarre. I felt like the trailer just felt undercut because it was very brief, didn't really show anything, and then also we know that the voice actors are kind of beefing with the game. So, yeah. We got Invincible, has a 2D team fighting game announcement. I think when I was talking to people that are into Invincible, they had the hype of like, oh shit, this looks really cool. And then they found out it was a 2D fighter and got really kind of bummed out of just like, shit, I thought we were going to get like an open world action game or something.
Yeah. Look cool.
It looked cool, yeah. Double Fine has a game called Keeper that they revealed, and it's coming in October. I love Double Fine. Yeah. Love all their stuff. I like Microsoft bought them and is letting them continue to be Double Fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is one of the studios I wanted to hear from this month. So. And
it's the perfect announcement of like, here's our new game. You'll play it in 4 months.
Yeah.
Leave us alone. You know, like it's the perfect thing to do. And again, this is what Microsoft should be doing with an acquisition like Double Fine. Let them do what they're made for. Don't tell Bluepoint they're going to make a God of War live service game. Let Bluepoint do what they do. Like, don't, like, if Double Fine announced a multiplayer game or something, we would be like, why the fuck did you buy them?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I like that. Then we had Dave So the Black Ops 7 trailer. I don't know if I'm supposed to know who any of those people are, or if I was supposed to be surprised it was a Black Ops 7 trailer, but I felt completely out of the loop when they revealed that it was a Call of Duty game.
Same. I recognize the actor from TV shows, but I don't know his name.
Okay. I'm just so out of the loop to where I recognize that was an actor, but I didn't know he was already in Black Ops games or something, because I was just absolutely confused. And I was in and out of this looks cool. Actually, no, I'm not vibing with this. And then for it to just be actually, this is Call of Duty Black Ops 7.
Yeah, I think that character is Jack Pearson.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not confirming that. I'm just based on what I saw on the trailer. The show that immediately comes to mind is the This Is Us show, but he's been in tons and tons and tons of other things, and I don't know if he's been confirmed to be the character that is in Call of Duty or not. But I don't know what to think of this. Are they gonna make a stellar campaign again? I guess the more recent one that we got, that I would say, it's where you think the last couple were good.
Yeah, the Modern Warfares have been good. I don't remember Black Ops 6.
Yeah, neither do I. The one you spent some time in space, that one I thought was really good. Advanced Warfare ?
I would say that's wrong.
The one where the character sacrifice your character sacrifices himself. Infinite Warfare. Okay.
Infinite. Okay.
Yeah. So.
Because Advanced was the Kevin Spacey one, I think.
Okay, maybe. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. I guess I forgot that this is around the time that we hear about a Call of Duty.
Yeah, I don't know. I had no reaction. I was almost disappointed that it was a Call of Duty announcement to end the show, but I realize that makes sense because that's their biggest franchise. I don't know what I want.
Yeah, but I think typically, but I think typically they get their own showcase. They do, COD's kind of always done their own thing.
I think they said we'll find out more later this summer or something like that.
Okay.
So we are going to get that. I feel like you open with a Call of Duty game. You don't end with a Call of Duty game.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And whatever he teased, people are thinking he teased some Halo remake or something like that.
Yeah, because he said next year, he went through the list of all the games coming out next year, and is there'll be a game that has been with us since day one, which is either Halo or Blinks the Cat. I'm going to lean towards Halo. It could be Fusion Frenzy, maybe. I don't know. WWF Raw. You could be talking about a wrestling game. I
don't know, man. I'm not hearing too many good things about your ratings on Netflix. So.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, I canceled my Netflix subscription, and part of the reason is wrestling has not been good. So it's just there's the one thing keeping my Netflix. But yeah, no.
Well, the one thing that keep my Netflix is the Lions are playing on Christmas Day on Netflix.
That sucks. Losing the holiday games to subscription services sucks. But yeah. Ends with Call of Duty, and then we did get a pretty beefy Outer Worlds showcase. It's more Outer Worlds. It looks good. There's not much to say.
I didn't watch the showcase. The trailer that they started with the showcase, or the Xbox event with, intrigued me enough that I kind of forgot it was an Outer Worlds 2 for a couple seconds. And, I
need to finish the first one. I didn't finish it.
I
it was good. It came out at the wrong time for me.
Yeah. I mean, this one, I think, for whatever reason, seems to be potentially holding Outer Worlds 2, potentially is holding my attention better than 1 did. I don't know why.
It is more fleshed out looking.
Okay.
It looks significantly more visually appealing.
Okay.
Mechanic-wise, it does look like they're adding way more mechanics. And you're more of a mechanics-driven person than a shooter, like a story person. So this seems like they're making all the right improvements to the first game.
But then I also feel like I'd be disconnected if I don't play the first one.
Maybe, but it's Obsidian. They've been making RPGs that
they're pumping out some content, man. They're kind of getting on that Insomniac pace level of a couple years ago.
They are like the Insomniac of AA games.
Yeah.
In terms of they have not had a bona fide hit. This is. GOAT status, but they've been consistent with
Because
their.
what are they doing? They're
their
going Grounded
their
2,
output.
Outer Worlds 2, and something else, right?
Avowed came out earlier this year.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, which was decent. It reviewed okay to
Yeah.
well. They I said groove like 4 or 5 times already, but they are in a groove and they're putting out content. It's not blowing the world. Like
they're an OG Fallout dev. Like, it's fun to play, but it's not going to light the world on fire.
It's exactly though what Game Pass needs.
Yeah.
Of just like, here's consistently
I got
good
annoyed.
stuff.
I'll be honest with you. I got annoyed with World Premiere. I like so many times I got annoyed with that. But I get it. But
because they had 3 different ones:
Yeah.
World Premiere, Game Pass Day 1,
yeah,
and Play Anywhere. And
yeah,
it's just like,
that was a little like kind of hitting you over the head with a hammer. But at the same time, just to know that you're watching that showcase and almost everything you saw is Game Passable. Like,
yeah.
And that's, I know a lot of, there's something coming to Plus Essentials that they showed during the event. Was it Sword of the Sea?
It might have been. There was Sword of the Sea and a couple other things. Like, there was a good push from PlayStation for the thing, which I might actually up to premium because that's the Playdays deal where it's like 33% up to upgrade your stuff.
Yeah.
So like,
So I mean, just in terms of like looking at all 3 services now in this world that I'm in now, there's certain, PSVR 2 I have some of these games that they showed there. Like there's a necessary need for PlayStation Plus tiers. Xbox Game Pass I'm satisfied and happy with. A potential, there's a good chance that one of the Game of the Year, top 5 Game of the Year things are going to be on Game Pass, which is fantastic. And then not going down the rabbit hole yet, we'll talk more next week. The Switch 2, like that $60 or $80 a year package comes with the access to N64 and access to the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom upgrades. And those things are super interesting and enough to hold my attention to warrant you get my wallet. And then I think PS Plus just auto renewed on me, and I was like, "Whoa, what's that? Like $180?" I'm like,
man,
ouch.
I'm so scared of mine auto renewing because it is $180.
Yeah, I was like, ouch.
Now?
My wife's like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah. Remember when we upgraded when we bought VR2?" She's like, "Yep." I'm like, "Those 6 months expired," and she's like, "Oh." I was like, "It's okay. There's some games on there that we're gonna play and we're gonna need, But it just kind of like when it hit the thing, you're like, "Oh," but then it's not gonna hit the thing again for 12 months. Versus,
and then you're going to forget about it again?
Yep, versus Game Pass, which I see Game Pass at every month, and I'm like, okay, $1 a day.
So like, I need to re-up my Game Pass. I will probably, because I do want to play Doom. I want to play a couple other things. So I'm trying to strategically pick my Game Pass like I've been doing the last 2 years. But PlayStation kind of puts me in a spot where it's like they don't really have these sales except, now and then Black Friday. So it's like, okay, I might jump in now, but I'm turning auto renew off instantly.
And rightfully so. Like, I mean, there's this difference in quality. Like, I'm not expecting Spider-Man 3 to be on PS Plus. I'm not expecting Ghost of Yotai to be on PS Plus. However, I'm happy that Doom's on there. And then I'm happy that Call of Duty will be on there. I'm happy that Hollow Knight looks like it'll probably be on there.
Yes.
Like Ninja Gaiden. Like, those are all things that I'm happy that are there. And, there's some, high risks of players like these. What was it? Something Xbox is bringing out is $80, and I saw it over the weekend.
The Outer Worlds is their first $80 game, which that is a highly questionable $80 game.
Yeah. However, it's a highly questionable $80 game. On your left hand, you're holding $80. On your right hand, you're holding $25 a month for Game Pass.
Yep.
No,
and that's what it comes down to, and that's what they want there to be. They want you to not want to buy their game, but be interested enough to get a subscription to them. Because it comes down to, getting you to hopefully forget that you're subscribed, and then it renews for a year. You're interested enough in what they have coming next to just renew it yourself, or at worst case scenario, they get some precious data points from you.
Right, but they're also not trying to swing for the fences and bringing Concord to the plate as their bat.
Yeah.
Like, they've had some duds, but then they've had a lot of, like, I mean, I'm okay if you're okay with it, of, like, I get to pay $25 a month for every 3 weeks a quality AA game.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they did say at the end of the Call of Duty trailer, coming to Game Pass day one. They're fine with that, you know. You know, they could get your money any other way. But you know what, honestly though, we didn't talk about it a couple weeks ago. We won't talk about it too hard now. But you know, the whole Apple Epic Games lawsuit thing could spill over to other consoles.
Weird. Like there's an avenue to put Game Pass on PlayStation, and for Sony not to, and Sony can't stop them.
Yeah, there's a real possibility that we could end up in that future. Will PlayStation fight it like hell? Yes, but it could be inevitable, and that's what Xbox is just like, man, if we can keep going for a couple more years with this shit and get to that point where PlayStation can't do anything about it, like they will.
Or if they somehow convince ROG to put this thing at like $600, like,
yeah, well, they would just have to subsidize, be like, right, we will eat the cost.
Yep, and and here's the deal, like it costs $600 and it comes with 24 months of Game Pass. Like, I mean, that might be reaching, but if they do something like that, like, I will tell all of my friends to not even to just go get that. You can download the game. You can take it with you. You can connect to the internet and validate your licenses. I think it's every 10 or 12, 15 days or something like that. And to have that ability to stick a cord in it and put it on your TV. Like, I am so fascinated by the versatility of my ROG, and also, like, I haven't even really seen the massive changes to Switch 2. Owen's been all over the Switch 2, but Owen got to the point where he didn't want to play Fortnite on the Switch 1. And he is super thrilled with whatever changed on the Switch 2 version. Like, he's super thrilled. Yeah. So we're not going to go deep into that right now, but the pricing around this ROG, this Xbox Ally, will be a huge factor. And I just, like I said, I need to hold it, and then I will potentially sell my original ROG. Like,
honestly, you might want to do that now while the price is still probably pretty good on that trade-in, because you can probably live 3 months without your ROG.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I just got to see. I got to, you know, sometimes when people start talking about hardware, like, it's like I've been watching some of those videos, the Republic of Gamer video and the Xbox people, when they start talking about it, it almost makes me fall asleep. And I'm just like, please just kind of tell me, like, what it's going to do. Show me. Tell me how much it's going to cost. Stop playing this game. It's better
price we don't know, because they probably don't know the price themselves at this point.
No, I know. So yeah. I guess overall, what would you give the weekend?
A solid B-.
That's what I was thinking. B-, C+.
Yeah.
Like the most intriguing thing out of the three things that's always on the top of your mind now when somebody asks you what you saw that you liked.
It's going to be the fighting game.
Yeah, it's Bond for me. So
yeah, if I were to rank the things, it would surprisingly be PlayStation State of Play #1.
Yeah.
Xbox Showcase #2. Summer Game Fest #3. And that's just because, you know, we got Bond, Luminous, and the Marvel fighting game in the State of Play.
Yep.
You know, I mean, Summer Game Fest was a real disappointment for me.
Yeah, and I would put State of Play above the Xbox Showcase just by a hair, and the main reason is because there's things that they showed at the State of Play that I want to play.
Yeah.
But then the reason why I say just a hair is because I respect the fact that Xbox is like, Game Pass. Like
they're all in.
Yeah, again. They're not changing. Everybody's like, this can't last. We've been saying this for 4.5 years now. Like,
but the ROG, their big push on PC, on Play Anywhere, I feel like is their last stand in terms of, like, we need this shit to work, or we're going to have to make changes.
Mm-hmm. I agree, and I'm just along for the ride right now, and I'm gonna enjoy it. And to think that, I don't know, I guess I wanted to ask you this, maybe the last question we'll end. Is this Marvel fighting game, forgive me, Tokon Fighting Souls?
Yes.
Is it coming to PC?
Yes.
They said that?
I believe so.
Okay. Day and date.
I will. Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
Hold on, I can check.
So
yep, PS5, Steam, and Epic Game Store.
Perfect. So I'm sorry, but you cannot have a problem with Microsoft's agenda when Sony is leaning heavily towards that with almost all of its new multiplayer stuff.
And Microsoft's doing Play Anywhere to where you technically only need one copy of the game in theory. For
I really got to test that out and put that through the paces and see. And
they do cross save really fucking well to where we're not talking about cross progression, we're talking about cross save.
It just works.
Yeah, so
the Microsoft account thing just works.
Yeah. PlayStation's getting there. PSN is on PC, but there's a resistance for that that isn't there for Xbox because you just already have a Microsoft account if you have a PC. Like you don't have a choice for that.
Yep.
We're in an interesting time for games. I still don't know if this holiday has a ton of big things that I care about, but we at least see a window for Xbox. Third parties seem to be pretty comfortable.
When we get a light news week soon, maybe even next week, I know we're going to talk Switch impressions, but we need to go through the next 6 months calendar.
We need to do that for Patreon. Let's actually commit to doing that.
Yeah, we need to talk about that. Of what's coming the next 6 months. We've had enough stuff kind of delayed, moved, canceled. I really need to see what we're talking about. Essentially, 4th of July to Thanksgiving, and what that's going to look like. So
definitely have to do that.
All right.
Take us home, Dave.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much for listening. Long show, obviously a little longer than normal. That's typical for these kind of things. We're up at around an hour and a half. But if we missed anything that you saw, again, hashtag AskDigitalDays. Post it in there. Post it in Discord. Tweet it at us. Blue Sky it at us. Whatever. I gotta save that hashtag on Blue Sky if that's even a thing. And then we'll try to add it to a list or conversation. Let us know what was the favorite thing that you saw. What are you looking forward to? What was your favorite show? Let's get a little bit of interaction going on our Discord, and we'll highlight some stuff next week of what you liked, your favorite thing you saw, your favorite show of the three. Let us know, and then maybe we'll put together a list of DDG's game of E3 or something. I don't know. Game of Summer Game Fest. I don't know what the hell to call it. Non-E3. And we'll see. But yeah, send us some stuff about what was you were most intrigued about. So again, everything is linked in the show notes. You can follow us on social media at Digital Days Pod, at the First MJC, at Good Dave Hunt. Facebook group and Discord server are linked in the show notes. And I hope you guys enjoyed the little bit of fake E3 that we got. And hope everyone has a great week and keep moving forward.
Don't be a dick. See ya. All right.
Exporting. All right, those of you that are hanging out in the chat and the stream, appreciate you. The few of you that were chatting a little bit, getting some bots going again. It's always fun. And I hope you guys have a great night. We'll talk to you later.